The pot roast bleeds juice across my mother's antique china plate as she slices it with practiced precision. Steam curls up in delicate wisps, carrying the scent of rosemary and thyme through our pristine Ohio dining room. Brooke's favorite. Always Brooke's favorite. I shift in the mahogany chair, my simple work slacks suddenly feeling coarse against the velvet cushion. A quick glance at my sister confirms she hasn't touched her phone in at least 30 seconds a record. Her Gucci bag slouches against the sideboard like a sleeping cat, price tag probably higher than my monthly mortgage payment. Dad clears his throat. My spine stiffens. 20 years of Sunday dinners have taught me that sound means exactly one thing. Someone's about to write a check, and someone else is about to feel very, very small. About Brooke's wellness retreat in Jackson Hole. Dad pauses, his knife scraping against fine china. The sound sets my teeth on edge. Mom's face lights up like Christmas morning. It's quite an opportunity. $12,500, but you can't put a price on investing in your future. She beams at Brooke, who manages to look both entitled and bored as she spears a baby carrot. 3 pairs of eyes swivel toward me. The air thickens with expectation. You said you'd see what you could do, Dad reminds me, his voice carrying that familiar note of assumption. The one that says, of course, I'll help, because that's what family does. That's what the responsible older sister does. I set my fork down carefully. The tines align perfectly with the floral pattern on my plate. Actually, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice, I bought a house. Silence drops like a stone. 3 forks freeze midair. Mom's gravy ladle hovers above the boat, a brown droplet trembling on its edge. You what? Mom whispers. I bought a house, I repeat. Closed last Tuesday. The gravy drop falls, splattering dark across the cream tablecloth. Nobody moves to clean it. But Dad's face reddens. The retreat money. You promised. I never promised. The words come out sharp, surprising me. You assumed. Brooke's phone chimes. For once, she doesn't reach for it. How could you? Mom's voice turns to ice. Every syllable drips with disappointment. You're choosing failure over family. The word failure triggers a flash. My 16th birthday. Store-bought cake from Kroger. My name spelled Camille in waxy blue frosting. 2 weeks later, Brooke turns 16. She got a brand new SUV and a country club party with a live band. Another flash. College graduation. Me, standing awkwardly in my gown while Dad fumbled with a disposable camera. Brooke's ceremony the following year. Professional photographer, champagne reception, pearl necklace gleaming against her skin. The state writing contest surfaces next me proudest moment turned small. Don't let it go to your head, Camille. Writing's a hobby, not a career. I stand up. My chair scrapes against hardwood, the sound like nails on a chalkboard. I have to go. Sit down, Dad commands. We're not finished. But I am. 20 years of Sunday dinners, of swallowing my words along with Mom's pot roast, of watching Brooke shine while I fade into wallpaper, 20 years of almost being good enough. The house needs work, I say, reaching for my purse. Lots of work, but it's mine. All mine. Mom's lips press into a thin line. You'll regret this. I pause at the dining room door looking back at my family tableau. Dad's rigid anger. Mom's theatrical grief. Brooke's calculated indifference. No, I say softly. I don't think I will. The next morning, my phone buzzes with notifications. Removed from the family group chat. Read receipts on my texts, but no responses. Sunday dinner invitation for next week conspicuously absent. I'm not blocked, just erased, like a pencil mark that didn't quite fit the picture. My finger hovers over Mom's contact. One call could fix this. One apology, one promise to do better, one more piece of myself sacrificed on the altar of family harmony. Instead, I open my photos. Scroll to the picture of my new house peeling paint. Crooked shutters, broken steps, and all. It's ugly, it's messy, it's real. And it's mine. I delete my family's numbers. A week later, the realtor's Ford F-150 kicks up gravel as she pulls away, her expression still frozen in that peculiar mix of concern and judgment. I catch her checking her rearview mirror one last time, probably wondering if she should call someone about the crazy woman who just bought this wreck for $1,200. I turn to face my new home. In the golden hour of Kentucky sunset, broken windows wink behind their makeshift plastic coverings, rippling in the breeze like forgotten laundry. The siding, what's left of it, has weathered to the color of old cigarette ash. Above my head, a shutter hangs by a single rusted nail, creaking a lonesome song to the darkening sky. "You're sure about this?" The realtor's words echo in my head, her carefully styled silver hair practically bristling with disapproval. I'd sign the papers anyway, my signature steady despite her hovering presence. The key feels heavy in my palm, solid brass, nothing like the sleek electronic fobs at my parents' house. It takes 3 tries to work the lock, the mechanism grumbling like it's forgotten how to do its job. Inside, my footsteps echo across warped hardwood floors that haven't seen polish since Carter was president. I spread my sleeping bag in what must have been a living room, positioning my battery lantern where it catches the least amount of water stains on the ceiling. The house settles around me with unfamiliar sounds, mice scratching in the walls, a persistent drip from somewhere in the kitchen keeping time like a broken metronome. Rolling onto my side, I pull out my phone. No messages, no missed calls. The screen's glow feels harsh against the darkness, highlighting dust motes that dance through the beam like lost stars. This silence feels different from the suffocating quiet of Sunday dinners. It's emptier, yes, but somehow fuller too, like the space itself is breathing with possibility. The call comes at sunrise. I'm already awake, watching pink light creep across my makeshift bed when Aunt Jackie's number lights up my screen. "Your mother called," she says without preamble. Her voice carries the familiar rasp of her Virginia Slim's habit. "Wanted to know if I'd talk some sense into you." "And?" "Honey, you weren't invisible." Jackie's words hit like summer thunder. "You just weren't Brooke. There's a difference." My throat tightens. "I don't—" "Let me finish." Paper rustles in the background Jackie's ever-present crossword puzzle. "Remember when you were 8? Won that spelling bee? Your daddy bought Brooke a new bike that weekend because she was feeling left out. The memory surfaces like a bruise. She didn't even ride it." "Course not." "Then there was your college graduation." "Jackie. They made you drive yourself to the ceremony so they could ride with Brooke to her dance recital." Her voice hardens. "I've got 20 years of stories just like that. The pattern was there. We all saw it. Some of us just didn't have the guts to say anything." A mouse skitters behind the baseboard, making me jump. "Why tell me now?" "Because when they come back, and they will, sugar, trust me on, that I need you to remember this feeling. This moment right here, in your own house. Remember what it costs you to buy your freedom, and don't let them set the price for getting it back." After we hang up, I dig through my duffel bag for the hardware store receipt. $20 in roofing supplies, because the forecast shows rain. The clerk, a man with kind eyes and a Vietnam veteran's cap, had offered me a payment plan when he saw me counting out singles. "Most folks around here could use a little grace," he'd said. The first drops hit as I'm balancing on the ladder, hammer in hand. By the time I've got the patch secure, I'm soaked to the skin and grinning like a fool. The water runs clean here. Nothing like the expensive filtered stuff Mom insists on. It tastes like childhood summers and possibilities. A knock at the door startles me out of my roof repair victory dance. On my porch stands an elderly woman clutching a covered casserole dish, her silver hair styled in that timeless small-town beauty parlor way. "Mrs. Henderson from next door," she announces, thrusting the dish forward. "Saw you working up there. Thought you might need something that isn't from a can." The casserole smells of real butter and memories. "I'm Camille," I say, suddenly conscious of my dripping hair and muddy jeans. Her eyes crinkle. "I know, sugar. Small town. We've been watching this old place, waiting for someone brave enough to love it back to life." That evening, I sit cross-legged on my sleeping bag, eating Mrs. Henderson's casserole straight from the dish. A retired carpenter named Jim stopped by after the rain, offering to teach me basic repairs. 3 teenagers from the church youth group asked if they could help clear the yard for service hours. My phone buzzes. Another missed call from Mom. Another text from Brooke, this one just a row of question marks. I set the phone face down on the uneven floor. Outside, crickets start their evening chorus. A car passes, headlights sweeping across my plastic-covered windows like a benediction. For the first time since I can remember, I don't feel the weight of being not quite enough pressing against my chest. The house creaks, settling into its foundations. Or maybe we're both settling into something new, this strange, wonderful feeling of being exactly where we're meant to be, broken pieces and all. 2 weeks after the silence, the knock startles me awake. 3 sharp raps against weathered wood, too precise to be a branch in the wind. My phone shows 11:47 p.m. Through the peephole, designer sunglasses catch moonlight. Brooke. My stomach clenches. I open the door to Cashmere and channel number 5. My sister a pearl dropped in a mud puddle. Her Mercedes gleams obscenely on my gravel driveway. Paint job worth more than my property taxes. The retreat center flooded. Brooke's mascara bleeds artfully beneath one eye. Not enough to look messy, just enough to telegraph vulnerability. I have nowhere else to go. A practiced pause. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Right on cue, her lower lip trembles. I count the lies in that statement like Dad taught me to count cards. The retreat center has 3 buildings. Her trust fund could book a 5-star hotel. Mom and Dad's guest room stands ready, eternal shrine to their prodigal daughter. But I step aside, because she's my sister, because it's midnight in Kentucky, because some habits die slower than others. How? Brooke surveys my living room, manicured fingers trailing along a half-stripped windowsill. Charming. The word drips condescension. I catch her phone sliding up, camera aimed at peeling wallpaper. Guest room's upstairs. I shoulder her Louis Vuitton weekender. Bathroom shared. Her perfectly plucked eyebrows arch. Shared? Welcome to authentic poverty aesthetic. The words snap out before I can stop them. Brooke's laugh tinkles like wine glasses at a country club dinner. You always were funny, Camille. Her phone appears again, this time openly documenting water stains on the ceiling. We manage 20 minutes of stilted conversation before she pleads exhaustion. I hear her fingers tapping against the screen long after she closes her door. Morning brings coffee in chipped mugs. Brooke helps load the dishwasher, photographing every domestic moment when she thinks I'm not looking. Her phone buzzes constantly. Just keeping up with messages, she says, fingers flying. Everyone's so worried about you. The emphasis on worried raises my hackles. I remember her wellness empire, built on aspirational before and afters, carefully curated vulnerability porn. I find the truth at sunrise. Brooke in my kitchen, arranging props like a stage manager, organic candles, crystal clusters, her designer yoga mat unrolled across my uneven floorboards. Her phone perches on a tripod. The caption glows. Supporting my sister's journey from corporate burnout to authentic living. Sometimes rock bottom needs a helping hand. Number, wellness number, family first number, mindful giving. The rage burns cold. I grab her phone, scroll through the camera roll, dozens of photos. Me doing dishes, unaware, my torn wallpaper, my warped floors. My renovation tools are arranged like poverty porn still lifes. What are you doing? Brooke lunges for the phone. I hold it away. Using me as content? I'm helping you. The mask slips. Calculation replaces concern. My followers love a good redemption story. Think of the exposure. Exposure? The word tastes like copper. Like when you posted about Mitchell's divorce? Or cousin Sarah's rehab? That was different. Steel enters her voice. They needed intervention. Look at you, living like this. Living like what? My voice stays quiet. Like someone who owns her home? Who built something real? Real? She laughs. This dump? You're throwing your life away to prove some point. I delete her photos. One by one. Her precious content disappearing like morning mist. You don't get to make me your backdrop. Each word lands like a hammer strike. Not again. Tears well up, right on schedule. I was trying to help. No. The certainty feels like armor. You were trying to harvest me. She's gone within 15 minutes. Mercedes kicking gravel like machine gun fire. No apology. Just entitled fury at being caught. The email arrives that afternoon. Forwarded by someone on the Regional Wellness Funding Committee. Brooke's grant application sprawls across my screen, complete with unauthorized photos of my house. Of me. Using my own lived experience with family trauma, I propose a 3-month residential program focused on healing generational patterns of scarcity mindset. My renovation journal becomes documented evidence of internalized poverty. My independence transforms into a cry for intervention. My home warps into a case study in desperate need. The photos seem darker somehow. Angles chosen to emphasize decay. Captions spinning my piece into pathology. A note from the committee member. We were concerned about consent, thought you should know. I sit on my front porch, watching sunset paint my crooked walls gold. A family of wrens has nested in the broken shutter Brooke photographed. Their songs sound nothing like crying. My phone chimes. A text from Mom. Brooke's just worried about you. Why can't you accept help? I block the number. Inside, I light one of Brooke's abandoned candles. The flame catches my reflection in the window. I look nothing like the desperate soul she tried to sell. I look like me. That same day, my fingers were hovering over the keyboard. The committee wants facts, not feelings. Cold, hard evidence that my sister's grant application twisted my life into a redemption story. My hands shake as I type the first line. To the Regional Wellness Center Grant Committee. 3 hours and 2 pots of coffee later, I read through my statement one final time. No accusations, no bitterness. Just dates, screenshots, and a timeline that speaks louder than any emotional plea could. I press send before I can second-guess myself. The response comes faster than expected. The committee wants to meet. I wear my best work blazer to the video call, the one without any frayed threads. Behind me, the freshly painted living room wall glows soft white. Mrs. Henderson helped me choose the color. Like morning sunlight on fresh snow, she said. The committee members appear one by one in their little squares. Professional faces, reading glasses, the occasional plant or bookshelf in the background. My pulse steadies. These people don't know Brooke's perfect smile or my mother's theatrical tears. They only want the truth. I tell it. The photos in the grant application were taken without my knowledge or consent, I explain, sharing my screen to show them the timestamps. The narrative about helping a struggling sister speaks to a situation that never existed. I purchased this house as an investment, not out of desperation. I have the mortgage approval documents to prove it. A woman with silver hair leans forward. And the wellness retreats mentioned in the proposal? Fiction. The word tastes sharp on my tongue. There were no retreats, no healing circles, no transformational workshops. Just unauthorized photos of my renovation project used to secure funding. The committee takes notes, asks questions, studies the evidence. When the call ends, they thank me for my honesty. I close my laptop and walk outside to deadhead Mrs. Henderson's petunias. The repetitive motion soothes my nerves. 2 weeks later, the news breaks. Brooke's sponsorship pulled. Grant rescinded. The carefully constructed facade of her wellness empire shows its first crack. My phone explodes. Not with family calls those stopped months ago, but with messages from strangers. Women sharing stories of similar exploitation. Photo ops disguised as friendship. Vulnerability marketed as content. Each message chips away at Brooke's carefully curated image. Mother launches her counteroffensive. She works the phones like a general commanding troops, spinning stories to mutual friends about my jealousy, my instability, my ingratitude. The whispers reach me through Aunt Jackie. She's telling people you had a mental breakdown, Jackie reports during our weekly call. Says that's why you bought that dreadful house and turned against the family. I snort, brush paint from my overalls. Dreadful house paid for itself with the Airbnb suite last month. A week later, Father takes a different approach. He shows up at my office, all Brooks Brothers suit and corporate authority. My boss turns him away. Later, she calls me into her office. Everything okay? She asks. I think about the half-finished kitchen cabinets waiting at home. The evening writing workshop I'm starting at the library. The neighbor kids who help me weed the garden in exchange for popsicles and storytelling. Better than okay, I say. In the next few days, the local paper runs a feature on the house restoration. Historic property gets new life, reads the headline. The reporter takes pictures of the original hardwood floors, now gleaming. The rebuilt front porch with its handmade swing. The community garden sprouting in the side yard. I host my first potluck in the renovated kitchen. Mrs. Henderson brings her famous potato salad. Jim the carpenter contributes venison stew. The library teens who attend my workshop arrive with slightly burned brownies and nervous smiles. We eat, laugh, share stories. Not one person asks about my family. The high school guidance counselor invites me to speak to the senior class about alternative paths to success. Standing at the podium, I see myself at 17. Quiet, uncertain. Measuring every choice against someone else's expectations. Success isn't a straight line, I tell them. Sometimes it's a crooked path that leads exactly where you need to go. A girl in the back row raises her hand. Did you lose friends when you chose your path? I lost people who were never really friends, I answer. But I found my real community. The text from Brooke arrives that evening. My phone screen lights up with her message. Having a rough patch. Can we stay at your place? Just until things settle down. No acknowledgement of the Grant situation. No apology for the exploitation. Just the same old assumption that I'll set myself on fire to keep her warm. I set the phone down without responding. Outside, crickets chirp their evening chorus. The porch swing creaks gently in the breeze. From next door, Mrs. Henderson's wind chimes play their random symphony. I pick up my journal, the real one, not the sanitized version Brooke photographed for her social media, and begin to write. My story, my truth, my quiet revolution. The phone buzzes again, and again, and again. I let it ring. The next day, the Mercedes SUV crunches over my gravel driveway like a tank rolling into enemy territory. My parents' Lexus slides in behind it, boxing me in. Through my kitchen window, I watch them emerge, Dad in his Sunday suit, Mom clutching her leather portfolio like a shield, Brooke hiding behind oversized Chanel sunglasses. Mrs. Henderson peers over the fence, watering can frozen mid-pour above her tomatoes. I wave to let her know I'm okay. She nods but doesn't leave. The knock comes 3 times. Sharp, authoritative, Dad's banker knock. I open the door and lean against the frame, work boots crossed at the ankle. You should have called first. Family doesn't need an appointment. Mom pushes past me, portfolio tucked under her arm. Her eyes scan my living room, fresh paint, refinished floors, handmade curtains. Her lips purse. We need to discuss this situation like adults. The situation. I shut the door behind them. You mean me refusing to fund Brooke's latest scheme? Unity. Dad settles into my grandmother's restored armchair. Family unity is what matters now. Brooke slumps against the wall, phone in hand. Her fingers twitch toward the screen every few seconds, but she doesn't pick it up. Progress, I suppose. Mom dabs imaginary tears with a monogrammed handkerchief. We've always supported each other. That's what makes us strong. Always. I walk to my desk and pull out a manila folder. Inside, 20 years of receipts, bank statements, and photographs tell a different story. Let's talk about support. The papers spill across my coffee table. Brooke's sweet 16-party invoice next to my Kroger cake receipt. Her college tuition statements beside my student loan documents. Her first car purchase agreement against my bus pass. What is this? Dad's face flushes. Evidence. I lay out more papers. Here's the statement showing you emptied my college fund for Brooke's freshman year apartment. Here's the email where you promised to match my down payment, then gave the money to her wellness center instead. Mom's handkerchief trembles. We had our reasons. Here's my favorite. I hold up a photo. My state writing award ceremony. Empty chairs where you should have been. But look, here's Brooke's Instagram post from that same day. You're all at her volleyball game. That's ancient history, Brooke snaps. Then let's talk recent history. I pull up emails on my laptop. Your grant application using my inspiring story of struggle without permission. The investors you brought here for poverty tourism. The GoFundMe you started in my name. You never amounted to anything. Dad surges to his feet. The words explode from him like a long-held breath. We invested in the sure thing. Brooke had potential. The room goes still. Mrs. Henderson's watering can clatters against her fence. The sound makes Mom jump. Finally, I close my laptop. The truth. Daddy didn't mean, Brooke starts. He did. I stand up. My voice stays steady. And now we all know where we stand. Where we stand, Mom's voice rises. We stand together. We're family. No, the word fills the room. We were a hierarchy. Now we're a lesson in consequences. I pull another folder from my desk. These are my terms for any future relationship. Non-negotiable. Dad reaches for the papers. His hand shakes. Weekly family therapy. I tick off the points. No financial entanglements ever again. Public acknowledgement of past behavior. Written apologies to every relative whose money you solicited using lies about my situation. This is ridiculous. Brooke pushes off the wall. We don't need therapy, we need you to stop being difficult. Your social media empire is crumbling. I face my sister. Your sponsors are running. Your followers are finding out who you really are. You don't get to call me difficult anymore. How dare you threaten us? Mom stands, portfolio clutched to her chest. It's not a threat. I open my front door. It's a boundary. Accept it or leave. Your choice. Choice? Dad's laugh comes out harsh. You're choosing failure. No. I think of my restored house, my growing business, my real friends. I'm choosing the truth. You're choosing to stay blind. They file out one by one. Mom's tears finally look real. Dad's shoulders sag with unfamiliar defeat. Brooke pauses in the doorway. I never meant, she starts. You did. I meet her eyes. We both know you did. The Mercedes and Lexus back down my driveway. Mrs. Henderson gives me a thumbs up over the fence. Inside, I gather the scattered papers. 2 decades of proof I never needed to show them. They knew. They always knew. 2 hours later, my phone buzzes. Aunt Jackie's text reads, Proud of you, honey. Come for dinner Sunday? I smile. Some family you're born to. Some family you choose. Through my window, I watch the sun set over my garden. The tomatoes need staking, the porch needs sweeping, the guest room needs painting. But the foundation? The foundation is finally solid. At the present, the late June sun warms the fresh paint on my porch railings. Mrs. Henderson's heirloom tomato plants stretch toward the sky, their cages steady in the rich Kentucky soil she helped me prepare. A year ago, this yard was a tangle of poison ivy and broken dreams. Now zinnias nod their bright heads in the breeze, and the herb garden releases clouds of basil and thyme when visitors brush past. The screen door creaks, another item on my endless fix-it list, but I'm starting to love its homey announcement of comings and goings. Sarah, one of my teen writing students, bounds down the steps with a notebook clutched to her chest. Thanks for looking at my college essay, Miss Blake. Her voice carries the same eager uncertainty I remember from my own senior year. My mom says only rich kids get into good schools, but you proved that wrong, didn't you? I smile, remembering the local newspaper feature about my unconventional path to success, pinned to the community board at Miller's Hardware. There's more than one way to measure success, Sarah. Remember that when you're writing. She waves as she heads down the gravel drive, past the restored flower beds where my writing group meets on sunny afternoons. 6 months ago, they were strangers dropping off casseroles. Now they're family in all the ways that matter. My phone buzzes. Aunt Jackie's text fills the screen. Your mother asked about you at Bridge Club, said she misses Sunday dinners. The old anxiety flutters, but it doesn't take root like it used to. I type back. Having my own dinner tonight, you're welcome to come. A shadow falls across the porch. Jim, the retired carpenter who taught me everything from proper paint stripping to self-respect, settles into the Adirondack chair he helped me build. His arthritis makes Thursday lessons harder now, but he still shows up with coffee and wisdom. Mail came, he says, handing me a cream envelope. Fancy paper, must be important. The return address hits like a punch to the gut. My parents' perfect penmanship, their proper Ohio address. Inside, heavy cardstock announces another Sunday dinner invitation, complete with a handwritten note about healing old wounds and family obligations. Jim watches my face. Bad news? Old news. I tuck the invitation into my back pocket. They're still trying to fit me into their picture frame. A truck rattles up the drive Carlos from the hardware store, delivering supplies for next week's teen writing workshop. The bed of his pickup overflows with donated notebooks and pens, proof that success isn't measured in designer labels or country club memberships. Where do you want these, Camille? He grins, proud of his contribution to our little community project. Workshop room, I call back. The former dining room now hosts twice-weekly sessions where local kids learn to tell their stories. No crystal chandelier, no antique china, just honest words and real connections. Inside, I find the photograph I keep meaning to frame. 6-year-old me in a crooked paper crown, before I learned to measure my worth in Brooke's accomplishments. My smile is pure sunshine, unweighted by expectations. The doorbell chimes, the new one I installed myself, its tone warm and welcoming. Lucy Henderson, following her grandmother's tradition of evening check-ins, stands on the porch with a basket of fresh vegetables. Graham sent these over. Says your garden's coming along nice, but you still need feeding up. She peers at my face. You okay? You look like you're thinking hard thoughts. I touch the invitation in my pocket. Just remembering something your grandmother told me last fall, about how some people build walls and call them homes, while others build tables and call them family. The evening fills with the sounds of screen doors and gravel crunches as my neighbors arrive for our weekly potluck. Katie from the library brings her famous cornbread. Tom, the high school janitor who taught me about proper floor restoration, arrives with his husband Steve and a casserole that puts my mother's pot roast to shame. My rescue dog Pearl trots out to greet each arrival, her tail wagging in approval. She came from the county shelter the same week Brooke started her new job at the mall, both of us giving second chances to souls others had written off. I unfold the picnic table Jim helped me build, its surface scarred with coffee rings and pen marks from countless writing sessions. Someone starts stringing lights between the porch posts. Music drifts from portable speakers, not the classical selections my mother insisted on, but warm country ballads that feel like summer nights and freedom. The invitation sits heavy in my pocket. I pull it out one last time, reading between the lines of my mother's careful script. We miss what we had, it seems to say. But they miss the old Camille, the one who made herself small to fit their expectations. Pearl bumps my hand with her nose, reminding me it's time to feed her. In the kitchen, I find my journal open to this morning's entry. They called it trash. I called it home. Success isn't what they think, it's knowing you belong exactly where you are. The truth of those words settles in my chest as I watch my chosen family gather around the yard. Mrs. Henderson arranges her deviled eggs next to Carlos's homemade salsa. Sarah helps Jim into a comfortable chair, while Lucy strings more lights across the garden arch. I take out my phone and compose a response to my parents' invitation. Thank you for thinking of me. I've built my own table now. Then I step out onto my porch, with its fresh paint and creaky screen door, and join my real family under the Kentucky stars. Someone passes a plate of Lucy's grandmother's cornbread. Talk and laughter mix with firefly light and cricket song. This is success. Not a designer handbag or a wellness retreat, but the solid feel of home-built furniture under my hands. Not Sunday best china and forced conversation, but paper plates and honest words. Not the family I was born to, but the one I chose. Board by board and truth by truth. I look around at these faces, each one a chapter in my story of becoming. They don't care what car I drive or how much my shoes cost. They care that I show up, that I listen, that I build tables big enough for everyone who needs a place to belong. The stars emerge above my restored roof. Pearl settles at my feet, content. Tomorrow I'll host another writing workshop, edit another chapter, plant another row of Mrs. Henderson's tomatoes. Small successes, invisible to my family's measuring stick, but solid as the foundation beneath my feet. This is what winning really looks like. Not a competition, but a communion. Not a retreat, but a homecoming. One authentic moment at a time, under a sky wide enough for all our dreams to grow.